They're bounded on the west by the Puget Lowlands and on the east by the Okanagan River. They're bounded on the north by the Fraser River and on the south by essentially Snoqualmie Pass. And in that area there's
a sea of peaks, glaciers, grizzly bears, eagles, salmon.
Bang, they meet at high passes.
And the rivers that separate them.
The trees are large, the mountains are steep, the glaciers are
part of this massive watershed that's all the waters that empty into Puget Sound and the Salish Sea.
Meadows full of wildflowers.
These high dramatic peaks.
With deep forest valleys.
It almost defines who we are as Northwesterners.
Well, the North Cascades are powerful. Trying to understand that is perhaps the work of a lifetime.
When I got here, it felt like home. Gray and rainy, snow-capped mountains. I knew I'd found a place that really spoke to me. And in the mid-'80s, with a group of friends, we just started dreaming of how do we find work here that we really love to do. We were afraid for the future of these places that we loved, and we wanted to do our part.
I think the first thing I remembered was like, who are those guys down the hall that are backcountry rangers and what are they working on?
For the first 3 years of the organization, there was just 2 employees, Saul and myself as co-directors. Our office at that time was 1 desk donated by North Cascades National Park in Cedro-Woolley, which was an upgrade from the first year when we didn't even have a desk and we would use the desk of whoever was absent that day.
We would have their desk, their telephone, and their IBM Selectric typewriter. We began then to type up a catalog, contact instructors, and plan the program that began that first year in the summer of '86.
Saul just said to me, well, what do you want to instruct? I'd been working up on the upper Skagit River studying the bald eagles and salmon and their interactions. And I thought, well, this is something everybody should know about in the Northwest.
We offered 23 field seminars that first year, summer of '86. Birds and butterflies and geology, art. We asked a whole bunch of people that we knew and some we didn't know to teach for us, and everybody said yes. And then the catalog went out into the world. And then we got the first letter back with a check in it and a registration. And we realized we have to open a bank account.
I had been looking for something like this for a long time. So I called and we did a class in the Methow Valley, actually up at Hart's Pass. And I thought, this guy is never going to make it. He's noble, he's a fine person, but he's never going to make it. And I told him that he has to conduct himself in a more business-like manner. And then about 2 months later, he called me and said, if you think you're so damn smart, maybe you better join us.
But we started to grow the board, and we started to grow the staff. And after a couple of years, we realized that we were having this great program reaching adults. But we were sort of speaking to the choir. And if we were really going to affect change, we needed to reach out more broadly. And what clearly was the answer to us at that point was reaching young people.
I remember the early days of the mountain school program when it was done, done with the tents, even before the shelter was used. And I do remember that being a time that got people really engaged. I mean, got a wider audience engaged. I think teachers became more interested in the Institute.
For 19 years, we were a camping-based organization. We ran our student programs in a campsite behind New Halem. We ran our adult programs all over. We took people hiking, camping.
The idea was to take people into the natural world who may not have had that experience before, educate them more about it, and get them connected.
In the very early days, what was so interesting to me was how entrepreneurial it was. That partners in the area, the Forest Service, the National Park Service, they had lots of ideas for how we could work with them.
In 1989, the Institute was asked to propose education as one of the mitigations for the relicensing of the Skagit River dams. We were a really young organization. Mountain School had just started. We had 4 staff. But something amazing happened.
In 2005, we opened the Environmental Learning Center on the shores of Diablo Lake. And what we have now is this extraordinary facility built for our programs.
It's enabled us to reach a whole new audience of folks who would not feel comfortable camping out in the mountains, but having the center means they get a chance to explore that place with a little bit more comfort and then go on from there.
So I came across a phrase years ago working on a book about Vladimir Nabokov, the great author and lepidopterist. Does there not exist a high ridge where the mountainside of scientific knowledge meets the opposite slope of artistic imagination? I said, this is what the North Cascades Institute does.
I don't know anyone who's taken an NCI program as an adult or child who hasn't thought it was terrific. I mean, I can't imagine a better run organization and one with a mission that's more important.
Our mission is to conserve and restore Northwest environments through education. So conservation is our objective, education is our tool. We believe if we bring people here, they see this place, they understand it better. They understand its biology, its botany, its wildlife, its geology. We believe that because they love it, they will take care of it.
Chittle, 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 turtle, turtle is McGilvery's warbler, and over here was a, you gonna come on? No, he's not. There was a yellow-rumped warbler over there. I love teaching. I just love to see the lights come on in someone's eyes when they learn something they didn't know and they think, wow, that's really cool. And that's what keeps me coming back to teach at North Cascades Institute.
Simply giving people information about what they're encountering or about how nature works or what the principles of ecology are does not change behavior. What does change behavior is a combination of head and heart.
Teachers, mentors, leaders, instructors, interpreters, take those people into those places and then rub them up against it. Create friction, create sparks. Tickle curiosity to make people go away wanting to know more. I don't know very many other organizations that do that. Catching that interest, feeding that interest, and delivering them into their communities more informed, better able to function as conservationists and naturalists.
We know we've affected individual people deeply. We know we've changed their lives. They've chosen different careers. They've gone on to school. We know that families have come back to us and said, this was transformative for my kid. What do I do next?
Seeing the Institute today, 25 years later, was phenomenal for me to see. And I would say beyond my dreams, but I think maybe more accurate to say it's sort of a fulfillment of my dreams when we started this.
When Tom and I were sitting around that campfire, young kids in the North Cascades, we didn't envision everything that has happened since. We didn't imagine a learning center, a graduate program, tens of thousands of kids reached. It seems like we've grown up, but the spirit seems very much the same. It seems like the culture of the Institute is just still the culture of the North Cascades. It's bringing people together who love this place.